Hey, it's Lee here, and welcome to Simplify Adulting. And if you're in your 20s and you're feeling stressed about money, work, or just whatever life is throwing at you, then you are in the right place because we take on those things, we break them down, and make life doable together. And today we are doing a video based on a submission to our Ask Us Anything, and let's hop right into it. So the question is, how do I pay my bills and still have money for fun? And yep, I think we all know what that feels like. Kind of this weird tension between that we're constantly told that we're supposed to be enjoying ourselves, we're supposed to be doing self-care, we're supposed to just kind of be in this constant state of pleasure. And then we're also told that we have responsibilities and we need to pay attention to those. So what is it? Am I supposed to just constantly be in bliss, or am I supposed to be responsible? And the fact is, of course, it's both. It's absolutely good to have fun, but we also need to be responsible. And I think that there's two ways that you can approach this question. One can be like, hey, I don't have the money, so how do I kind of make sure that I can meet my responsibilities and still have money for fun? And also can just be like, hey, how do I really just enjoy having fun, because I feel guilty or ashamed when I spend money on something that's not responsible. And the good thing is, wherever the question's coming from, there are a few foundational steps that are the right steps for either case or both cases, whatever it is. And believe me, this sense of kind of doing this balance doesn't go away. That's just part of money, right? Having the money stress in life, and it's always there to some extent. In my 20s, it was really there for me. I got married really young. We ended up kind of moving out, doing our own thing, and we didn't have jobs, and we moved across the country and had to find jobs and relied on credit cards to kind of bridge that gap, worked multiple jobs to try to make ends meet, definite paycheck to paycheck living. And sometimes we were lucky if we were able to make it paycheck to paycheck, hence using more of those credit cards. And the stress and the overwhelm and shame and embarrassment just really could get up there. And yeah, it made it super hard to have fun, because even if we felt like we had the money to do it, it felt guilty, like we should be not spending money on that. And a lot of times we didn't have the money to do it. And so it just kind of started this whole cycle of yuck. Let's just jump into some of these steps, though, that I think are really important to kind of get out of this cycle. The first one is, I'm going to call it get clarity, get visibility. And that's on what we're spending. And I have a tough time keeping track of kind of the spend, because it's so easy to click a button and you just kind of hop in. Next thing you know, you bought something, you flash your phone. It's so seamless in that convenience factor. Sure, it makes it easy, but sometimes it makes it also like autopilot mode. You don't even realize that you're spending money. In order to start to get at this tension, we just have to be aware of what we're actually spending. And there are a couple little small things you can start to do to start to get that. One, I tell people, like, get paper receipts. I get paper receipts. I want to see it because I can forget what I spent money on. And so if I have that paper receipt, they start to fill up my purse, my wallet, at least I can pull them out and go, oh yeah, that's right. I went to Home Depot. I got that. Went to the grocery store. I got that. And it just starts to make me aware. The other thing is, so much of the information is on these things. So pulling up your banking app, your credit cards apps, your buy now, pay later apps, just to really stay in touch and make sure you're aware of what you're actually spending. And I would recommend, if you could do it once a day, but if it's a couple times a week or once a week, just going through that and then doing a really quick assessment, like how many times you're like, what the heck? I could not think of what I spent that. I just had one of those. It was $97. I was like, I could not figure out, like, what the heck was it? And then I went through and I was like, oh my God. Now I remember spending it, but I had completely lost sight of spending that $97. So this is a really, really important exercise, because here's reality. We can't change what we're not aware of. That's just a fact. You can't change it if you don't know what's going on. So if you want to get at this tension of being responsible and having fun and being able to do both with your money, you got to know where it's going and getting that visibility to it. The next thing is, I don't know. I don't think guilt and shame serves us too well. I think, but having these emotions is a cue. It's a cue. So instead of trying to push them down or ignore them or seeing it as like, oh, I don't have my shit together because I'm feeling, anxious or overwhelmed about my money, like, oh, wow, like, let's be curious about this. Why am I feeling whatever, fill in the blank way about this? And I think once we get we get the clarity with our receipts and kind of where the money's going, we have some clarity on what we're feeling and why we're feeling that way. And that can help us get some clarity on kind of what are we thinking is this whole fun thing? And, what really brings us enjoyment? Because I think we have to do that same clarity exercise about what really is fun for us or brings us enjoyment. And I think how we're feeling about things is just a really great cue for us to dive into that. So if something's making me feel anxious because I bought it or I participated in or spent money on that, is that really fun? Or is that my story of fun, right? And so let's use these feelings that come up with it, and we can start to figure out how we get clarity on like, okay, what would actually bring me enjoyment? Maybe not having any overdraft fees this week, this month would bring me so much enjoyment. And once you get clarity on that, it can make it easier to say no to the things that don't mean as much to you and say yes to the things that mean the most to us, right? So the clarity and getting that insight into what is actually fun. And then I'm just a big believer in practice. We have to practice action. I'm a big believer in take action, but take action sometimes like, oh, I got to fix this. No, it's taking one little thing and practicing and just practice little things. And once we practice little things, then we can get better and we can practice. Maybe we practice grabbing receipts and we end up getting half of them. Maybe we end up getting receipts all the time. Maybe we practice and we looked at our money spend one time a week, and maybe we get better and we look at it 3 times a week. It's just practicing these things so that we can get better at them. And that's all you have to do is just take one little step. Go big or go home is one of the worst mantras to live by. Sounds good as a logo, but not a way to actually get change into our lives in a realistic way. I think this is the biggest thing that I encourage you to do, and it's super hard, is you have to recognize you're not in this alone, that this is our number one questions, our money questions that we get. So anonymous, you are not alone in this. So it's easy to turn away because of those feelings. I feel guilty. I feel ashamed. I feel like I should have my shit together. Like this just shouldn't be a problem for me. So we pretend and we avoid dealing with it. And we avoid getting help. Back when we were really struggling with money, when we had moved and everything, we had 2 friends that had their stuff together. They would have been so open to helping us figure out how to work through this or how we could do some things differently. But we were too embarrassed and we really missed an opportunity. Plus, they were good friends. We want to help each other. You're not the only one with the challenge. So reach out and find those people you can trust that you can talk through this and support each other on this very common challenge. And here's the biggest thing. You can do this. You can figure out the money stuff so that you can both meet your responsibilities and have fun. And this is hard, but here's the most important thing. You can do hard. You do hard every day. We all do hard every day. Some days are harder than others, but we do hard stuff all the time. And this is just one of those hard things. And the more we practice at it, the less hard it becomes. And so there you go. It's just one step at a time. You just do that little bit each day, increase your visibility on what you're spending, challenge those emotions and feelings, and really get clear on what is actually fun and brings you most enjoyment. Do a little bit of practice each day and reach out and find your people that can be with you through this very shared experience, right? And you can also ask us as part of that help. Ask us anything. Again, I'm going to put a link to that submission form down in the show notes, and we would love to get your question on anything, money, career, anything. Just throw them our way and we'll get back to you. So until I see you again or you send in that submission form, stay happy and healthy.